Kayla, and today I wanted to talk about what I used to be able to see versus what I'm able to see now. As many of you probably know, I have retinitis pigmentosa, which is a progressive eye disease, which means it gets worse. I give a disclaimer in a lot of my videos where I say that I've always been legally blind. I was born with about 2200 vision. It was pretty much stable up until I was about 18 and then has been slowly getting worse over the past 9 or so years. I'm 27 now. Gosh, that sounds old. So I kind of wanted to describe for you guys how my vision has changed over my life. So when I talk about back when I was younger and had better vision, you can kind of have a better idea of what I was actually able to see back then. And I think a lot of my friends and family, people that have known me for a long time, think that I'm the same amount of blind that I've always been, which is not the case. I'm a lot more blind now than I used to be. So just kind of wanted to paint that picture for you guys. So let's start with reading print. When I was younger, I was able to read large print, so about 18-point font straining and 22-point font comfortably. I could also read regular font with a magnifier, so I had this little dome magnifier that I used all the time, and then probably around high schoolish, I upgraded to a handheld lighted magnifier, so I could pretty much just read anything with those magnifiers. Fast forward to now, I cannot read with my eyes at all. I can maybe read something if the font is really big, probably 80-point font, and it's bold and it's right in front of my face, but I have to strain so hard that I can only read something very short. So a phone number that's magnified really big, or maybe a sign or something, but I definitely couldn't read just a book or a form if it's in super large print because I just have to strain so bad. So I just call it that I can't read with my eyes at all. And kind of similar to that, I used to be able to use a computer with I'd have it set to large font just on the computer. I didn't have a special software or program or anything. Or sometimes I would hold my handheld magnifier up to the computer screen. And that worked. A lot of times I had to wave the mouse around to try and find it because I would lose the pointer on the screen. And I was probably about 18 when I started using the built-in Windows screen magnifier, and I had it magnified to 200%. And then I gradually moved up to 300% and then 400%. And by this time I was about 22, 23, and it was just becoming so hard for me to use the computer with my eyes. I was straining so much and it was really difficult. So around the age of 24, I learned how to use a screen reading software. So now my computer just reads everything to me, and I can't use a computer with my eyes no matter how big it's magnified. And it's kind of a similar situation with my phone. I got my first iPhone right before I turned 22, and at that time I just had the font set to extra, extra large and bold, or I used the zoom feature to magnify the phone, and that's how I used it. Now, 5 years later, and it's probably been at least a year, maybe 2, I am an exclusive voiceover user. So my phone reads everything to me. I don't use my eyes to use my phone at all anymore. And it was a really gradual change to where I started out only using voiceover to read long things like a web page or to check my emails if it was a lot of reading, but I was still using Zoom to read my text or Twitter, and then I just started using voiceover more and more and more until I started relying on it completely. Okay, so let's move on to colors. So I used to be able to see colors pretty well. I would mix up some similar colors like black and brown or black and navy blue, but I could see colors for the most part. But now my colors are really faded. And I don't want to say that I don't have color vision at all, because I do still see some color. It's just, they're just really faded, and it's kind of more like a gradient from dark to light. So for example, I have a shirt that I have the same shirt in 3 different colors, mint green and a light pink and a light-ish purple. And I can't tell which is which unless I hold all 3 of them up together next to each other in the light, and then I know that the mint green one is the lightest one and the purple one is the darkest one. And that's how I can tell which is which, but I can't just look at it and know what color it is. And I can remember the time when I started losing my color vision. I was about 22 and I was playing a game of Uno. And I remember when I was younger, I used to sometimes have trouble being able to tell the blue and green cards apart from each other. Similar to the shirts, I'd have to hold them next to each other to know which was which. But in this game of Uno, I noticed that I was having trouble telling apart all of the colors: blue, green, red, and yellow. And I just remember thinking, how can I not tell apart red and green? Those colors don't even look similar. And I knew that it wasn't good. So next, I used to be able to walk around independently and be able to navigate relatively well. So I could walk around by myself around my neighborhood or my school or the mall, the grocery store, whatever, as long as it was daylight or the lights were on, because I have never been able to see in the dark, and I've also never had peripheral vision, so those things have never changed. So I would occasionally trip over things, run into things, looking at you, wet floor signs, but I could walk around with minimal risk and see where I was going. I cannot do that anymore. Now I have to either use my cane or hold on to someone and have them guide me. Or else I will run into something or someone, or I can't see my surroundings to even really know where I am or know where to go or which way to go. I can really only walk around independently at my own house or maybe someone else's house. If it's a space that's really familiar and it's kind of like a small space, then I can walk around independently, but I still kind of put my hands out in front of me to make sure I don't run into things. Okay, so next I want to talk about being able to see people. I have never had enough vision to really be able to recognize faces because I've never really been able to see detail, and faces are just apparently way too detailed that I can't even really comprehend. But I used to be able to see like different features of people, so mainly their hair, what their hair looked like, the length of it, the color of it, everything like that. I could see different facial features, like if someone had a really big forehead or really thin eyebrows or really white teeth or something like that. I could see the general size and shape of their body, and I would kind of just piece together these characteristics and be able to recognize people that way, of like, oh, that person has short, brown, curly hair and bushy eyebrows and a big nose. That must be so-and-so. I could also see what people were wearing and just have a general idea of what they looked like. And I was never confident in being able to recognize people. So like when I was in high school and I'd be walking down the hallway, I'd be like, I think that's my friends over there, but I'm not sure. Fast forward to now, I barely know what anyone looks like. It's really hard for me to see people, even, those different features that I used to be able to see, even what they're wearing, the general size and shape of their body, their hair, all of those things are really difficult to see now. So I definitely can't recognize people, and I just barely have an idea of what people look like. I can barely see myself. I used to be able to look in the mirror and I could see the color of my eyes and I could scrutinize my appearance, and now I barely know what I look like. Another thing I want to talk about is pictures. I used to be able to see pictures. I could flip through a photo album and, be able to say like, oh, hey, that outfit looked really good on me, or what the heck am I doing with my face? I look so stupid, or like, oh my gosh, look at my mom's hair, LOL at the 80s. Or I could scroll through Facebook and know what pictures were up, like, that's a selfie, that's a picture of someone's dog, that's a picture of someone and their baby. I can't do that at all anymore. I can't really see pictures at all. I can maybe if it's really well lit, if I'm able to kind of like zoom in on it on a tablet, if it has high contrast, and if someone tells me what the picture is of, then maybe I can see it like 15% of the time. It drives me crazy when someone sends me a picture with no caption or anything, and I'm like, I have no idea what this is a picture of. I cannot see pictures. So it'd be really nice if when someone sends me a picture, they say, hey, here's a picture of blah, 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 blah. And if I can make it out, great. If I can't, it doesn't matter because you told me what it looked like. And then there's just general things that I can't see anymore that don't really fit into these neat categories of, like, I used to be able to walk into a room and I could see there is a desk over there and a TV over there and a couch in the middle with 5 people sitting on it or something like that. And I can't do that anymore. I could go to the grocery store and peek down an aisle and say, yeah, that's the cereal aisle, and walk down it and be able to see all the different kinds of cereal and read the name of them and know what the box looked like. Really only in the cereal aisle though, because the words are big and the colors are all bright. I couldn't do that like in the soup aisle or anything. And I can't do that anymore either. I can make out the boxes of Special K because they're white and they have this really big red K on them. That's about all I got. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe how my vision has changed because vision is always a very difficult thing to explain or describe. You can maybe think of it like if you're outside on a foggy day and the fog is so thick that you have to get up really close to a street sign to be able to read it, but then the fog gets a little bit thicker and you can tell it's a street sign, but you can't read what it says. And then the fog gets even thicker and now you can't even really tell that it's even a street sign. That's kind of what my vision is like, where the fog just keeps getting thicker and thicker. And I think a lot of people think that I can see things if I just get up close enough, or if it's bright enough, or it's magnified enough. And maybe that used to be the case, but it's not anymore. Just making something bigger doesn't mean that I can see it because it's just too blurry that bigger doesn't always help. It's also really difficult to describe what I used to be able to see because since I was born with 2200 vision, I've never seen anything else. I've never known anything else. I have nothing to compare it to, so it's really hard to describe. But I do have quite a bit of visual memory from back when I could see better when I was younger, and I look back at that and I'm like, man, that was good vision. Like, they consider that legally blind, that was pretty good. And it's like, I'd kill to have that 2200 vision again. I'm also really thankful that I did used to have clearer vision because it makes it a lot easier to picture things. Like when someone tells me what color something is, even if in real time I'm seeing it really faded, I can picture what that color looks like. Or, I can picture what people used to look like. And so, yeah, it does really suck to lose vision, especially when you never even had perfect vision to begin with. But I'm so grateful for the vision that I used to have and being able to have those visual memories and just to know what things look like so I can paint mental images. And I'm also really thankful for the vision I have now because I could have none at all. So I'm grateful for every little bit. So anyways, that was my attempt of trying to describe what I used to be able to see versus what I'm able to see now. I hope this video was helpful for you to understand kind of what my vision was like and what it's like now. Let me know down in the comments below if you could relate to any part of this, if you had the vision that I used to have, or if you see similar to what I see now. I'd like to hear from you guys, and I will see you guys next time.